Okay, no issue. So now we are going to do some ANSYS related work which is required in CAD/CAM subject. So as we have completed this, so all the parts of assignments which are dealing with the ANSYS are in CAD/CAM. So that is what we are today going to select it. So recently we have done the beam problem. Okay. So what we will do, we will fix up the beam at this location. Then we will apply a UDL load within this region. Okay. Then we apply one point load and we try to do the analysis. Okay. So this is what I am going to do. And let's consider each length is of 1 meter. So each segment is of 1 meter. Okay. And this is what we try to do it. So just let me know whether HDL launcher is visible to you or not. Okay. So let's start with the problem. So I go with the preferences. In the preferences, I will click on structural. Okay. Then click OK. Then in preprocessor, I will add the element type. Okay. Add. Then I click on add. Go to beam and 2 node 188 element. Okay, so 2 noded 188 element I am going to have it. Click OK, close. Then I'll go with material properties, material model, structural, then click on linear, then click on elastic, then click on isotropic and enter 2E5 and Poisson's ratio 0.3. Okay. So I close the material. Then I go in section beam. So you could create lots of things. So I just go with the common section. So here in this case ID is 1. I could label it name, subtype. You could have different shapes. Here you can see. So I go with the square. So let's go 200, width and height 200 square, and I will just click OK. Okay, so I created a section also. Now I go with the modeling. I'll create. Now I'll create points because beam I have to mesh it with so many number of elements. And if I draw element wise element, what we used to draw in one-dimensional and truss element, the analysis what previously we have done, then it will take a lot of time. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to draw key points in active coordinate system. So point 1, 0, 0, 0, apply 2, 1000, okay, apply 3, 2000, apply 4, 4000. Okay, so I got 1, 2, 3 and 4. So unfortunately 4 has gone little longer because whatever the coordinate I specified. Okay, leave it, doesn't make any difference. Okay, so now I'll create a lines. Okay, lines. Okay, straight line. So this is the first point, second point, first point, second point, first point, and second point. So in this way I have created lines. So there are 3 lines now. Okay, so I go with the now mesh tool. So I could check mesh attributes also. Okay, so mesh attribute, default attributes. So material number is 1, there is no real constant. Section, of course, section I require, so section which I have created as one ID which is available here. Beam 188 is the element, material number is 1, only one material I have defined, so real constant is not needed, only section I have specified. Okay, so I go with the mesh tool. Okay, it's a global meshing. I click on mesh, then I click first line, second line, and third line. Both the lines I select, but I did not specify how many elements. I cancelled it. Global. So at the top, global set. This is correct. Okay. Then where is size? Size control, global. Number of divisions. Okay, number of division I specify to be 30. Okay, so each line will be having a 30 divisions. Okay, so that is global, and then I could set the size as number of division to be 30. Then click on mesh first, second, and third, and then click OK. So now it has meshed the element. So I can go plot, multi-plot. So now you could see nodes and elements, all the stuff is appearing here in this case. Okay. Now let's go with the loads. I go with the loads, then define loads, apply, structural, displacement, and say on nodes. So this is the first, this is the last. Okay, all degree of freedom locked to 0. So fresh beam. Okay, so I just have a window, something like this. No, what is happening? Pressure on beam. Okay, so I select box. I just change the box and I just do it something like this. Okay, great. So all things will be selected. Okay, load key. So y direction 2. Okay, so let's have a 0.4 Newton per Newton mm, and this is also same. Okay, so I just apply the same, or you could have a variable load also. So variable load means what is the start load and what is the end load. So you could also apply a variable load. So I and j. So it will be a uniform distributed load, UDL load. Okay. So these are the densities basically. Okay, so first density, start density, and the end density. So I am applying the same density. So I just say OK. So now you could see. So I have the now UDL applied at this location. I also apply a force on node maybe at this location, Fy maybe let us say minus 5000 Newton. So I have the vertically downward force also. Okay, so done. I just completed my task. Go to solution, solve, current LS. So that is what I have to do remaining. Okay, so solution is done. I go to general post processor. The first thing I need to create element table data. Okay, so I go with the element table, define table, I just add it. So if you remember, how do I got the axial stress in case of 1D and the truss element? So same thing, by sequence number SMIC 3. Okay, so I want a bending moment and shear force diagram. So for that, this is what is there. Okay, you can refer the elemental manual, what is the sequence numbering and how do you specify. Okay, so I say apply, then again the request database is not available. So does it hang? Something is on define table. Okay, so I need to close this. So what I need to do is read the result for set. So once the reading result set is done, I can create element table, define table, add by sequence number 3, apply, so add it. Then by sequence number 6, apply, by sequence number 16, apply, by sequence number 19. Okay, so all the 3 things I have, all the 4 things I have, which will plot me bending moment and shear force diagram. Clear? Okay, so I can go into isometric view also. Okay, so this is the isometric view, or what was the view previously? Front view. Okay, so I can go with the isometric view also. Okay, then now element table is defined. Now plot element table data. Not like this. Plot result. Plot result. Then line element result. Yes. So plot result, line element result. So first is 3 and 16 will give me bending moment diagram. So I just click OK. So this is my bending moment diagram. Okay, this is how I am going to rate it. Okay, so you can see what's going to be my bending moment diagram. That is how it is appearing. Okay. Then I can go for shear force, that is 6 and 19. So this is how my shear force diagram will look like. So I got both the diagram, bending moment diagram as well as my shear force diagram. you can also get the stress results. So plot nodal solution, because if you remember in beam formulation, it depends upon xi stresses, so it's a nodal solution. Okay, so at each every location the stresses are different. Stress, uh, I'll go with the von Mises. Okay, so the von Mises stresses. I go with the isometric plot control style. I go to style, size and shape. I just turn it on. Okay, so my beam shape has turned on, and then also you can do the animate. So you could create animation of this. Okay, so this is how the deform shape animation is looking. Mode shape, stress, von Mises. Okay, so you could see animation of our von Mises stress. Okay, close. I just plot the back again, von Mises. So this is how my stress distribution is varying. Okay, so just let me know whether you understood the procedure, how to solve this problem. You can type U in short if you understood this. Okay, so great. Now I just start clear new. The second problem which we are going to solve is two-dimensional problem. Okay, so 2D just we have started constant plane triangle. Okay, but we have the ANSYS assignment in CAD/CAM, and its programming assignment is FEA. So structural preferences element add solid. So let's just select 4 node 182 element. So that is 4 noded quadrilateral element. Quad stands for quad. So I'm not using a triangular element. Okay, so you can have a tech node 4 element and something like this. Okay, so I'm just using a quad. Okay, 4 noded quadrilateral element. Okay, option. So I am going with the K3 option, plane stress with width and thickness. So width and thickness will be my constant, as already today we have seen that the thickness we are going to assume to be constant. So K3 plane stress with width and thickness. Close. Then real constant add. So plane 182. So I add real constant 10 is what is my thickness. Okay, so this 10 is my thickness, that is what I have added. Edit. So this is 10. Okay, so this is the thickness which I have added. I just close it. Material properties, material model, 2E5 and Poisson's ratio 0.3. Okay. Then now I'll create modeling, create areas, rectangle by dimension, not dimension, by two corners. Okay, by two corners, 0, 0. So width is, let us say, 200. Height also, height will take small. Yeah, so let us say height is 100. Okay, so this is what is my rectangle which I have drawn. Then I create a circle, solid circle, 0, 0 and radius to be 50. Okay, so at 0, 0 and radius to be 50. So this circle is I have created. Okay, now operate boolean, subtract areas, this area, then subtract this area. Okay, what has happened? Okay, gone. So subtracted, fine. So I got this now, one area subtracted from this, fine, no issue. Now I go with the meshing. Okay, so mesh tool, mesh, I pick this. So it does the some meshing, and of course it is highlighting mesh area 3 plane triangles which are much too stiff in bending, quadratic 6 node 8 node element is possible, whatever it may be. It's trying to give me some error because there is some meshing problem is occurring. I can still solve, I can get it, no issue, but those only things that it will be having certain error. So this is what is the meshing what is available. I can also refine the mesh. So I can say pick all and refine each and everything. Okay. So this refinement is also done. Okay. But the problem here in this case, when I do a meshing like this, it gives me a result. And to get the more accuracy result, I need to go with the finer mesh element, because I'm not trying to dictate the behavior that how it is going to vary. The behavior of the system depends upon how the external forces I'm going to apply, or how the external temperature condition I'm going to apply. Okay, so it will be its effect that will be contributing the system will behave. And if your mesh is not dictating that particular behavior, then you are going to get a highly inaccurate result, and therefore more emphasis should be given that how you are going to go with the mesh. Boundary condition, you just click and apply and hit the solve. So more challenge is to have a mesh which will dictate the behavior. Now here in this case, I am going to apply a boundary condition in a such a way that the behavior is going to be in a circular fashion. For example, let us say when you drop a stone in a water, let us say you are in a well, so you know what is a well, or you can consider a bucket having the still water, and at the center, if you drop a stone, at the center if you drop a stone, what will happen? So the waves will be created because of those displacement, and those will be uniform in all directions. Okay, and now let us say if you try to mesh a particular circle with some zigzag pattern and try to mimic those meshing stuff, try to mimic those waves, I'm not going to get that result. Okay, unless and until my meshing is not dictating that behavior. If my meshing is dictating that behavior, then of course I could get a more correct results in what you say less computation. So the meaning I want to say that if I have this circle which is my thing, and I'm going to drop some force, And if I mesh it something like this, okay, so this is how I am going to have a mesh. So if this type of mesh I am trying to create, so what I am trying to do, I am trying to have a prediction of my behavior of system, and to get more accurate result, I am trying to have a meshing something like this, which gives me more faster and accurate result with rough mesh. Okay, but if you do normally meshing something like this, maybe this, and some sort of meshing you are getting. Normally when you mesh it, this is how you are going to get it. And now you are trying to get those wave stuff. You are not going to get it, because your machine does not dictate that behavior, which is dictated here in this case first case, and not in the second case. Okay, you may have to go several finer mesh and so much computation, that time you may be able to get it, but still not as good as mesh number 1. Okay, so that is what is we want to try to do it. Here in this case my mesh is not dictating that behavior. Okay, so therefore I go with the mesh tool. Okay, I just clear all the mesh, because clear plots, multi-plots, so everything is in dotted. Okay, so I just clear the mesh. Now what I do, so there is a concatenate, there is an option called as concatenate. So I want to combine two lines together. That is what I am trying to do it now. So concatenate lines, this is the first line and this is the second line. So two lines which I have selected, this is the first and this is the second, and I concatenated that. So that will be catenation. So these two lines is becoming now one entity. Okay, so if I try to find out how many lines are there, so I have one line, two line, three line, and fourth line is now this, which is a single entity. Previously it was 5 lines. Okay, so now let's mesh it once more time. Okay, why it is not done like that? Clear pickle, plot, multi-plot. Okay, so that is catenated already. Okay. Okay, fine. So now what I do, I select here, this is mesh tool, there is an option called as map. So I catenated that, I selected this map mesh, pick this and OK. So now what happened, I got a behavior, the behavior which I am going to have, I'm just trying to predict that with the help of this. So I may go for refinement. So all requirement I have done it. So now you could see, so whatever boundary condition I'm going to apply, so my mesh is trying to mimic that boundary condition, and that is why I am going to get the solution more accurate result with the rough mesh. Okay, so now let's apply the loads. First of all, I need to apply symmetry load. Okay, so I need to search symmetric boundary condition. So on lines, first line, second line, so these two lines I have selected where I am going to apply a symmetric boundary condition. Okay, so these are my symmetric boundary condition which I have selected and applied. AAA and AAA appearing here in this case. This is my boundary condition. Okay, that's it. Now I apply pressure On lines, I'll select this. Okay, constant value maybe 10. So I got the pressure here. Again pressure, apply on this. So again constant value 10. Okay, so from the both side I apply a pressure of 10 density. Okay. So that's belief done. Go to solution. Solve current LS. Okay. What has happened now? Okay, so I need to fix up something. So displacement on lines, all degree of freedom locked to 0. So let's see whether this solves the problem or not. Solve current LS. Okay, solution is done. So I need to check actually whether I have fixed it correctly or not, but this should not fix actually because I want the shape of this to be changing. Okay, so we'll try to find out later on. So I go with the elemental solution and then I go with the stress, von Mises stresses. Okay, data is not available. Read result first set, plot result, elemental solution, von Mises. Okay, so this is how the von Mises stresses is available. I can go with the plot control, style, size and shape control on. Okay, I can check. So I have the thickness. Then I can go with expansion, symmetry, where style, symmetry, expansion, periodic and cyclic symmetry. One pore dihedral system. Okay, now this has broke. Why the gap is created if I am applying a boundary condition symmetric. Okay, so I just go it again. Solution, define loads, displacement, delete, structural displacement, on lines, recall. Okay, so plot replot. Then I just apply a boundary condition one more time. Symmetric boundary condition. So apply symmetric boundary condition on lines 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so now let's see. Solve current LS, close, done. General processor, elemental solution, von Mises. Okay, so now I got it correct. So instead of fixing that arc, that also have to be given a symmetric boundary condition. So three lines is having a symmetric boundary condition. So now I am able to see the one Mises stress distribution. I can go in what to say 3D mode, isometric mode, and I can see. At the same time, what I could do, I could go animate and maybe mode shapes, stress, one Mises. Okay. So you can do the animation also. So how the stress is going to takes place. Okay. Now one more important thing in elemental solution, there is called a stress intensity. Okay, so basically this stress intensity is representation of stress concentration. Okay, so stress intensity will help you to find out how where is the concentrated stress. So this you can try to find out what is the concentration of the stresses at various locations. So in this way, of course, you can have various plots. You can also go with the displaced and undisplaced shape, and you can do the analysis. But of course, you need to do select the proper element type, do the apply the proper meshing techniques, apply the correct boundary condition, which is going to happen in actual practical case, and then only you are going to get the good quality results. If you say I'm using ANSYS, I can design most accurate result, forget about it. ANSYS is a theoretical result. Okay, so it is evolved from theory because you are studying FEA, which is from theory. Okay, and in practical scenario, there are a lot of different things happening. And if you say my result is 5% within 10% of ANSYS, okay, that may be for structure analysis or simple problem. Forget about it. ANSYS results and practical experiment results will differ at least by 50%, in some cases 100%, in many cases 200%. Okay, you need to establish the correlationship. So ANSYS is as good as theory. Okay, because it is evolved from your theory finite element formulation, which is a theoretical part. I am using ANSYS, that doesn't mean that my answers will be very, very close to practical results. Forget about it. Okay, for good solid problem, you may have more than 50% error, that is sure, obviously. Okay, in many cases 100%, and even it can go to 200% difference in the result. So one has to have a lot of experience how the actual practical condition is going to mimic. Okay, normally when you do as a student, 100% error you have to assume. Okay, so whatever analysis you do it, either in work or maybe any kind of robotics work or any work, whichever you are doing, so your results are having at least 100% inaccuracies. So that is what is going to happen. Whether whichever the software you use Hypermesh, ANSYS, Nastran, any software. Okay, it takes a lot of experience and it comes over the period. And you'll understand that these why they are giving this kind of result. Why I'm not going to go with the more practical results. Okay, so if somebody says me, sir, I have done in ANSYS or Hypermesh or this, so it's somebody else's brain, not yours first of all. Okay, so you are trying to buy somebody else's brain and trying to show something. Your input is nothing in front of that. That is the first thing, and that is why I always believe in doing more practical experimentation rather than using. Though I am from the computer background, okay, though I am from the computer background, I always believe in doing a lot of experimentation. Okay, so thank you. I hope you today you got a gist of some sort of analysis. So just let me know. So have you got something out of this? Just let me know. Okay.